Hi everyone, this is Josh Culp. We are learning Daf Lammed Gimmel of Masechet Gittin, and I want to talk a little bit about the two of the very important sugyot that appear on this page and their connection to one another. The first sugya is a sugya about if the husband is going to annul the get, which we talked about. He has the right to do that, and Rabbi Gamliel made a takana, an enactment that he shouldn't do that. But were he to annul the get, how many people does he annul it in front of? And we had a dispute then between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshet. Rav Nachman says he annuls it in front of two, and Rav Sheshet says he annulls it in front of three. And then we get a dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, two other sages, about what is the point of this tikkun olam. And I want to go a little bit more into depth on that. That's the one I find a little bit more interesting. So Rabbi Yochanan says it's tikkanat mamzerim, to avoid mamzerim, children born from an illicit union. And Rabbi Reish Lakish says it's mipnei takanat agunot, an enactment to prevent women from becoming chained wives, unable to remarry. In a very simple pshat, we could say something like this. The idea that this tikkun olam is to prevent mamzerim is in a case where the woman thinks that the divorce was not annulled, and she thinks that therefore she is divorced. She goes and gets remarried, and it turns out that she was still married to her first husband. Now she has mamzerim because that is unwitting adultery. It's not the children's fault, but she was technically married to her first husband, so her children from second union are mamzerim because she was still married to her first husband. Reish Lakish says it's mipnei takanat agunot because of the concern for chained women. And the idea simply seems to be that if a woman never can be sure whether her get was annulled or not annulled in a case where it was sent to her, she might think, look, I got a get, but maybe it's not valid, and therefore I'm not going to go get married, and she'll never really know, and that leaves a woman in a situation where she might really be divorced, but she doesn't go get remarried. Now, the Gemara awkwardly tries to connect the dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, and this is a very important tchuna, a very important quality of the Babylonian Talmud. It's something that I addressed in my second book, Reconstructing the Talmud, Volume 2, that the editors of the Talmud love to connect different disputes. I don't know if that is for literary purposes or halachic purposes, probably for both, but they connect the two disputes. The explanation of Rabbi Yochanan works well. She's divorced, she doesn't know about it. She's not divorced. She doesn't know that she's not divorced. She received a get. She thinks it's valid. She goes and have more kids, and you have mamzerim. The problem was the case with Reish Lakish because the Gemara connects him up with Rav Sheshet, who says that to annul it, it has to be in front of three. Three people constitute a court. There is publicity to the court's actions, and she'll know that she wasn't divorced. She'll know that the get was annulled, and she won't go get married, and she's an agunah. To which the Tosfot ask, quite cogently, well, if she knows that she's married, why should this be an agunah? This is just a case of a husband who thought about divorcing his wife, decided not to divorce his wife. We don't know whether she wanted to be divorced or didn't want to be divorced. That doesn't seem to be the issue over here. She knows that she's not divorced. She doesn't go get remarried. That's not an agunah. Right, that's just a woman who's not divorced. Not all women who are married are agunot. So the Tosfot just try to explain that away, but I wanted to point out that that is part of what happens in the Babylonian Talmud when you combine two different disputes, very artificially, very weakly in this case, and try to come up with a connecting device between the disputes of one set of Amorim with another set of Amorim. The simple reading of Reish Lakish is not that she knows that she's not divorced and doesn't get remarried. It's that she doesn't know that she is divorced, and she refuses to go get remarried even though she is already divorced. It's a much simpler pshat. I believe that that's what matches in the Yerushalmi. But as often happens, the Babylonian Talmud's literary qualities cause from some difficult sugyot, difficult passages.